Hey everyone, of course, welcome to the next edition of Forum Bites. In this episode, we're going to be having a conversation about Zoom phone calls and what you can do to make them as productive as they possibly can be. So you're part of the Zoom phone call phenomenon. You're wondering what you can do to make the phone calls a lot more productive, or at least maintain the productivity so people continue to turn up to them. Now, what we've been able to do is we've been able to pull together the experience of EO members, people who lead phone calls, people who actually participate in phone calls, EO staff, pet peeves from EO staff, suggestions from EO staff, and pulled it together for a top 10 suggestions to make your Zoom phone calls really productive. So starting off with number one. Number one is where you prepare for the call thoroughly and you communicate that. Now, this preparation is not just about telling them what's on the agenda and here's the link to the Zoom phone call. It goes a lot deeper than that. What we actually do within our Forum Expert is we actually film a video to tell them what to expect at the phone call and what the major discussion points are going to be, so they can actually prepare for the phone call. But it's actually not just about allowing them to be prepared. It's making sure they know the importance of turning up. Because when they know what outcome you're aiming for, they will hopefully turn up to help you achieve that, rather than turn up to an agenda item which they don't fully understand its importance. Suggestion number two, make sure your phone calls are outcome-based, not update-based. Now, what I mean by that is I've been part of some phone calls where all participants are giving an update of what they've done within their chapter or their forum. And you have 10 or 15 people on the phone call, and it's 40 minutes of people talking about what they've done. I guarantee you halfway through that phone call, you've lost half the call, because they're talking about things that don't necessarily mean anything to them. Now, updates are really important. They're important to highlight red flags. They're important to highlight best practice, but they need to be kept short, so you can get to the actual outcome or the main point of the conversation, which is the main point of the phone call, of getting everyone together. As I said, updates can be short in the beginning, and if there's any red flags, they can be discussed at the end of the call, or even possibly one of the main outcomes for a future call. But don't allow your updates to become the whole call, because I guarantee you, you'll lose people. Suggestion number three, make sure your phone call has a clear leader and a clear outcome. It's funny how I've noticed a lot of people when they're running their phone calls, there seems to be multiple people trying to talk at the same time. It seems that I've been on a phone call where there was 3 people believing they were leading the phone call, and it was a disaster because each person was trying to lead the phone call in a different direction, and everyone on the call didn't know what the point was. The main point of having a clear leader is not necessarily for the person to talk all the time. But having a clear leader allows you to manage how much people are talking and the direction of the call. That's why having a clear purpose and a clear outcome is critical. But part of that is making sure you know exactly who is there to lead the call. Suggestion number 4. Now make sure when you're part of the Zoom phone call, you set your Zoom profile up appropriately. Make sure you have your name on there. Make sure that people will know who you are. Because it's amazing the amount of times I see someone turn up for a phone call. I haven't met them before. They're this face on a screen with a mobile number underneath them, or maybe a location underneath them. You don't know their name, you don't know where they're from, and you don't know how to pull them into a call. Because the one thing I like to be able to do is call people by name to ask for their feedback, or even to make sure that they haven't got any challenges. And I can't do that if there's just a number on the screen. So make sure in preparation for your phone call, you set your section up so everybody knows who you are. Suggestion number 5, make sure that you keep the conversation on track. It's funny how I've seen some conversations start with topic A, and then suddenly someone brings up a challenge or wants to direct the whole call down another path, and it goes down a completely different path which is contradictory to the outcome that was being aimed for. It's really critical that the leader of the call be able to bring it back on track. Now, the one best way of being able to do this is to car park the possible problem that's been brought up. What we do sometimes in our phone calls is we make sure, for example, our forum, our lead experts, stay on the phone call at the end when everyone else is leaving, just in case people may have a My Chapter or My Forum challenge. This allows you to keep a conversation on track, because if someone brings up something important, you can say, if we could car pack that to the end of the phone call, hopefully we can answer that together. But let's get back to the main conversation. So in other words, you're not just knocking someone down and not helping them, you're allocating it to a part of the call which won't destroy your current call. So once again, make sure you keep the conversation on track by just reminding people what they're there for. Suggestion number 6. Make sure your audio is under control. The amount of times I've had people come onto a phone call and they might be in the middle of a busy cafe and they've got their volume on so loud that I can hear the whole conversations around them within that cafe that actually destroys the phone call that you're trying to run with the rest of people. I do these videos with audio in mind because having visual is one thing, but if you have really bad audio, people actually turn off and sometimes mute people and sometimes mute the whole conversation because it really hurts your ears and you can't concentrate. Making sure you have a correct microphone, whether it's in your computer, on your phone, on your headphones, whatever, make sure your microphone works. Because I guarantee you, if you've got a crackle in your microphone, if it's too loud or if it doesn't work properly, the phone call will be a disaster. I've been part of a phone call once before where the leader's microphone didn't work, and we might as well have not even had the phone call because no one was listening because they couldn't. Because there was so much background noise and worse, static, it actually destroyed the call. So remember, make sure your microphone is not only set up properly, but you're in the right location so people don't have to listen to where you actually are. Suggestion number 7. Make sure you have a conversation starter as part of your Zoom phone call. The amount of times I've had conversations with people about why do we have to have a conversation starter? We're here to talk about a certain topic. We don't need to know about people's holidays or what they want to do with their life or what they haven't done. People who ask me that question have actually missed the point of the conversation starter. Yes, it's there to bring people together. It's there to focus the group so the call can start. But the one thing a conversation starter is also designed to be able to do is to bring people together by getting to know each other. Every month I have Zoom phone calls, usually with people I haven't met before face to face. They're all over the planet and we're together to try and solve a problem or to achieve an actual objective together. And the best way to do that is have the people working together as a team, which takes trust. And to be able to have trust, you need to know people. Because as you know, it's very difficult to trust people you don't know. Conversation starters are there to actually build rapport with each other and get to understand each other. And they're also a little bit of fun. So don't forget, always start your phone calls with a conversation starter. Suggestion number 8. Make sure when you're on the phone call, you don't multitask. Now, the amount of times I've been on a phone call where people are answering phones, typing out emails, talking to other people is astronomical. The amount of times I've seen someone typing away on their computer and they forget to turn their microphone off and all we can hear is type, 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 type. It actually distracts the phone call. It can actually be quite rude. If you can't be present at a call, if you can't be 100% there and trying to help solve the challenge that someone's setting up to do me a favor. Send someone else. Because having someone there who's distracted, having someone there who's doing other things distracts everyone else. And as I said before, it's quite rude. Suggestion number 9. At the end of the phone call or just after, rate the phone call. What I've seen the best way to be able to make sure the leader of the phone call is delivering the need to the people who are attending is rate the phone call. Some people do it by SurveyMonkey. Some people do it at the end of the call. Some people do it just by email or SMS or WhatsApp. Whatever way you want to rate the call, 1 out of 5, it gives you a litmus test to make sure you're delivering what the group needs. It's funny how some people think the calls are going well. They come to their second call and no one turns up and they don't know what's happened. If only they'd asked the participants how it was going and recommendations and what they think they could do, it would have solved the problem. As I said before in our current lead expert phone calls, we hang around at the end of the call to answer any individual questions. We didn't come up with that idea. Our participants did when we asked them how the call went. They asked them it'd be great if we had this. So therefore, we just did it. And finally, suggestion number 10. What is the measure of a successful phone call? The best way to measure a successful phone call is how many people turn up to your next call, not the objective you achieved. If you have one phone call and you come up with a fantastic objective, you have a fantastic solution, and the call is so boring that no one turns up to the next one, you've solved one problem and caused a multiple of others. So the best way I've ever been able to measure a success of a phone call is actually at the next one. If everyone turns up to the next one that turned up to the previous, or even more, you're on the right track. If you have 10 people turn up to this call and then only 2 turn up to the next one, I don't care what you achieved over here, you've got a problem. Now, as always, if anyone's got any questions whatsoever, leave them in the comments section. If you haven't subscribed already, I'm sure you know what to do by now. Just hit that subscribe button now. And as always, I'll see you in the next episode.